Now that U.S. airspace is closed for business, jumbo jets over the Atlantic, low on fuel, head for Gander, Newfoundland.
Newfoundland, we're sort of like a lifeboat to the North Atlantic because we're the sort of the last point if you're going eastbound. Coming westbound, we're sort of the first point that you arrive at. The North Atlantic is perhaps the busiest oceanic airspace in the world. In terms of volume, approximately 1,100 flights a day move across, back and forth over the North Atlantic. The majority of traffic operate through Gander. On a typical day, about 200,000 passengers go through airspace.
Hello, Tower.
Though Gander Center controls a large volume of airplanes, they usually pass over at high altitudes. But on 9/11, those flyovers were looking to land somewhere on the remote island.
Problem we got here, and the airports around the island, St. John's, Stephenville, Goose Bay, the infrastructure on the ground is not designed to handle rapid arrivals, like in some of the bigger world airports. We had to come to grips with it quickly. They had to land, and there was no turning back. We just had to get them on the ground.
Gander Center requires 4 times its usual staff to handle the hundreds of large incoming transcontinental planes. But before they can hand them off to local airports, they must first get clearance from tower approach.
We had a parking plan that we originally did up for Y2K in case there was computer problems or whatever, and they ended up shutting down the airspace. And we basically had a look at that and decided that that's what we were going to use for our parking plan and where we were going to park the aircraft.
Established as a refueling station for the military and jet set in the early days of flying, Gander Airport has a runway long enough to accommodate every aircraft ever built, including the space shuttle.
Because we used the same runway for all the arrivals, it was possible just to keep everybody going in one direction. They'd slow down, turn off, and they were basically, there was an airplane turning off one end as another one was landing.
Airport space wasn't the only problem Newfoundland controllers faced. While some planes had concerns with low fuel due to rerouting, others had the opposite problem. Too much fuel left over to land at a safe weight.
Those aircraft were going to destinations like Dallas, Atlanta, further inland. Several of them had to dump fuel. They were too heavy to land. They would have burned that fuel off in the normal course of the flight. We took them off out to the northeast of the airport for dumping over unpopulated areas, and they dumped thousands of pounds of fuel. And there was some logistics problems with that. You can't drive airplanes through a dumping area of another one. You got several dumping at one time.
08 descent 3315.
In all, Newfoundland airports landed and parked 240 planes in about 2 hours, more than 10 times its normal rate. With 38 jumbo jets in Gander alone, Gander's 10,000 residents pitch in to feed and house thousands of international passengers and crew.
Many of the families in Gander contributed in some small way, recognizing that there were about 6,500 passengers here that were away from home through no fault of their own, and they just wanted to do something. So it was a small way of just showing people that they cared.
But 1,900 miles southwest, 2 planes continue to threaten the skies over Ohio as Cleveland Airport prepares for an emergency landing.